Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you, Michael?
Good. Hey, Kate. Yeah, I'm wearing, are we live now?
We are.
Okay, great, great. So I'm at Sawtooth headquarters. So behind me is a big sound stage, and I'm in California now. So we were setting up for rehearsal later tonight. But how have you been? You look
I,
super busy. That's great.
I've been very busy here in New York. I know you love upstate New York, and I've been dating
Yes.
live, but I know you've been very busy too, and we're going to get to that. It's
Great, great.
very excited for this, so this is awesome.
Thanks. You can hear me good?
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. I've got in-ear, so everything's, the earbuds of death. So everything's good. Yeah.
Yes. So my first question for you obviously involves gear because you are an avid collector of guitars.
Yes.
A bunch. So the current number. How many do you currently have in your collection?
I have exactly 205 right now. Soon to be 207.
That's
So, yeah, I'm getting a new 7-string and another one of these to tour with. So,
that's awesome. What is like a new piece of gear that you would love to add to your collection that you haven't yet?
I don't want to sound like I'm the guy who has everything, but I don't really, there's not really too much more that I need. I've got great amps. I use Sawtooth tube amps. I've got great software on my computer, nice DAW system. I just love guitars and I love collecting. And the new part of my collection, I'm going to get some of my rock star buddies, get their signature guitars and have them autograph it. So that's really the thing I want next.
Awesome. That's really cool. And I have a really funny story for you after this interview,
Okay.
which you're going to love. But my second question involves more gear. At the Hell Creek Music and More located in Montana, you have your very own exhibit.
Yes, yes.
There's your Sawtooth double guitar, which is absolutely iconic. What is your favorite feature of this guitar specifically, of your fancy double neck?
Well, I have it here. I invented the double, and there's one in the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They inducted one of my guitars. And I don't know if you can see, I'm going to push this over a little bit. Do you see that orangish red? It's actually red, but I'm on stage with lighting.
Oh.
So it actually comes in 2 pieces. I'm going to go grab it real quick. Hold on, I'm in a chair.
You are in such a fancy location right now. This is sick, dude. I love this.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Yeah, I'm on stage. It's a sound stage. It's a video we can record. Here is the left side. Here is the right side. It's always been 2. You see that? It's a flight case latch in the back. This is all my design. So what we did was you just put the guitars together like this. I put the flight case latch together. Sorry, it's easier for me to do it when I'm on stage. Okay. But anyway, you put it together, it takes a couple seconds, and see now it locks. So you can see. But the features on this one are amazing. It's really lightweight. It's made out of a really light wood called sycamore. And the only thing that makes it heavy is I have to use locking trems, not for the whammy bar, but for the micro adjustment. I mean, you've seen me play when I think it was you and your boyfriend that came to the clinic that time, or
Live, yeah.
Yeah. And you saw me flip it upside down and do all this crazy stuff. If I didn't have a locking trim system, it would go horribly out of tune, like crazy. And so really the Floyd, but this has been my favorite double because I've always had pointy doubles. Everything I've ever done, pointy, metal. But then I said, what's the most different thing that I could possibly do? A normal guitar shape. And then we decided to go more vintage with tellies. But that's my long explanation of the double. But it's really fun to play. And we did, Sawtooth did a limited run of 50. They all sold out. And the the really well-known guitar player online
Uh-huh.
bought one of these. We didn't even know, I didn't even know he bought one. Next thing I know, there's a video online. It's got millions of views. And
Uh-huh.
here he's playing one of my limited edition doubles. It was great.
Yeah, that is so cool that he has one.
Yes, yes.
Sell out super fast, just like that. So I do have to get to your tour because you have something incredible coming up, which I'm sure a lot of your fans are already aware of. But in 2023, you will be shredding with Manowar, which I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Yes.
on the Crushing Enemies Metal Anniversary Tour, which sounds super epic. I have to ask this as a fellow guitarist. How do you like your action setup on stage while playing live? Is there anything specific that you like?
Yes. With Manowar, we're in the Guinness Book of Records as being the loudest band. I mean, they are true metal, and so am I. And it was we just got together. It just worked. So, yeah, I start the tour in the beginning of January. I'm going to be with them 2 months. We rehearse a little in the United States. We go to Germany to finish the rehearsals, then we go on tour. The thing that I like about my action is people think because I'm super fast on guitar that I love this really low action. It's the exact opposite. I use medium.
Really?
Yeah, see, if you looked at a neck like this, okay, and the low string was here, my action actually goes like this. So the low strings are about medium, and I raise it slightly on the upper, because to get that vibrato, and to get a really nice vibrato, I don't like, and that's where I get a lot of my sound. My sound, hopefully, is round and it's clear. And so it's not like, using a wah, like that really mid-range sound, which I love. But my tone, because the action's higher, there's absolutely zero buzz. It lets the string completely ring out. But I got this from clinics because, as you've known and you saw me in a clinic, think about doing thousands of shows in your life, playing guitars you've never played in your life. And so some of the action was so low and it buzzes like, so I raised it just so I could play the guitars in the store. And then I got used to it. And I realized, wow, this sounds really good. And so it's medium on the low end, high on the upper end.
That is very interesting. So medium, and then it gradually goes higher.
Yes, yeah, because I love Floyd. So if you think of a trem like this, we raise it like that. Mm-hmm.
Very neat. I personally prefer mine lower. I do have an SG though, and the neck is super tiny, and so are my hands.
Hey, can I ask you something? I've made a study of hands. Do this. Just go like that. Okay, you and I are similar. There's two types of hands. One, your index finger is longer than your ring finger. The other one, your index finger shorter. So these are the two humans. So you have a shorter ring, you have a shorter index finger like me, but it's still, even though people with a really long index finger can actually stretch a little more, but it doesn't stop you from playing good. It hasn't stopped me from stretching my hands. So I wouldn't worry about it. Anybody with any kinds of hands can play. So, I mean, you play really good. So we've done the Shred collab before. So it's great.
Yeah, if you guys don't know that, we actually did a collab with our friend Andy James and Vinnie Moore, which is absolutely incredible as well.
Yeah, both great guitar players. Yeah.
Yeah, great guitar players. And a ton of great guitar players.
I know a few.
Yeah, you do weekly live streams talking about various guitar tips and tricks. In one episode, you expressed the importance of, how do I wear this, focusing on the little things, such as watching your picking hand.
Right.
While you're playing, and watching the way that your guitar is being held. Why focusing on these things so crucial? And how does it help in not developing harmful habits as a player?
Well, one of the things that I think that I embody as a guitar player is the fact that I can't help the year I was born. Okay, so you're young, I'm a lot older, but people think that when you get older, your skills diminish, and many times that's true. But here's what I've done my whole life. It's kind of like taking care of yourself. For example, I'm tall. Sometimes tall people hunch over to take photos with people who aren't as tall. I don't do that. I keep my back really straight. And the reason I'm bringing this up, it's like with guitar. They say if you watch a great movie like an Avatar or even Pulp Fiction, the details are what matters. With guitar, the details are what matters. The very fact that I watch my picking hand, I watch little nuances, and my technique has been analyzed over and over the years. Troy Grady slowed it down to like, you know, and really analyzed what I did. And it's been analyzed all over the planet. And the thing that people come away with, it's very economical. And to use the word for computers, ergonomic. It is so important to work on the details because what happens is, like, for example, hand strength. See, I can make a fist. Ah! A lot of times when you get older, you lose strength. You lose hand strength. If you do that, your playing's going to be impacted by it. And so I work on, like, doing a vibrato. And, you know, somebody called it the boomer vibrato. I think that's it. You know, I think it was funny because nowhere on earth would a violinist be criticized for doing a vibrato from somebody, an older one from somebody else. But we are in guitar, and they love to criticize guitar. But I don't care. I even practice vibrato, hitting it really hard. So to answer your question on a 10-minute dissertation like I do, it's what separates you from being a great player when you're older to not. And it also separates you from being injured while playing and not. Even people with arthritis. I mean, I actually played with a dislocated wrist for about a decade and I didn't know it. In the old Nitro days when I used to wear the gold t-shirt and all that stuff and I looked like Nitro, I used to work out all the time. I was super thin, but I was cut like crazy and ripped, but I was skinny. And so I didn't work on trying to be big. I had dislocated my wrist doing this, and I didn't know it. And a doctor told me it used to hurt when I did this, but it never hurt playing guitar because my guitar playing was I moved so little. And a doctor said, you know, you've dislocated your wrist. I go, really? And they popped it back in place twice. And then it's fine. But that didn't even hurt my playing because I hardly move anything. That's the point.
Yeah, sometimes when I play, because I do notice, you know, you barely have like movement in your picking hand, but it's so precise. Your notes are so precise. I do a lot of because I started on acoustic with a really hard rhythm strumming. I developed a really nasty habit of moving my picking hand a lot when I'm picking to the point where it's like wild. You know, and I would get this like tendon pain like up here. The grip really tight. I'm still working on that, honestly. That's why I don't really consider myself a shredder per se. I'm still trying to get hold of this hand. I consider my fretting hand to be pretty solid at this point, but picking work.
I mean, you're right-handed, correct?
I am right-handed, yes.
Yeah, so the pick is your dominant hand when you're holding it. And what I'm saying is that, you know, I read a lot. I read a lot about famous players, and I read about like the philosophy that goes behind. And there was a famous coach, and it applies to you on this and everybody. There's a famous coach named Phil Jackson. He coached the Chicago Bulls to 6 championships with Michael Jordan, coached the Lakers. He won in every level he's ever he played, he won, he coached in Canada, he won, he coached 2 teams here. He's won everywhere. He had a famous saying in his book. He said, you have to adjust your game. And he mentioned Michael Jordan. He said when Jordan was young, wham, you know, just all the flashy stuff. But he said as he got older, he couldn't do that anymore. He had to adjust his game. So what he did was he developed a shot called a fadeaway. It's like, doo-doo, goes up close, fakes he's going to go straight, backs up, shoots it, boom. He was just as effective. And here's what I was saying, like, for example, your arm. See, I had to do this left-handed. It started hurting when I played lefty when I did the double. I kept adjusting and rotating my hand and working on little things until it stopped hurting. You have to adjust your game. And that's everybody, you know, because my friend, I told my friend when my wrist was this okay, I told him, I go, it hurts when I do this. He goes, well, then don't do it. You know what I mean? If it hurts when you're strumming, don't strum like that. Find a different way to strum. So that's the point.
Right on. A really good question in the comments, which I think will tie into this next question. When I was at your page, you do a lot of acoustic stuff, well, at least here and there. Will we get a full acoustic record from Michael Angelo Batio? And will you record anything with Manowar in the future? Maybe.
Those are two great questions. Is there more or?
No. Like
okay.
Two.
All right. Question one, acoustic. Before COVID, that was my goal, to record acoustic record. When I'm with Sawtooth Guitars, I play a lot of acoustic. We have an app, and you can see me play a lot. So the answer to that question, first part is yes, I will do a record of acoustic. See, I've been working on my picking technique on acoustic to make it really aggressive, like a flamenco guitarist or flamenco or like El Di Meola. So many people, when they play fast on acoustic, are too light. You can't, when they use a pick, you really can't hear. Where you get those newer guitar players that are, they play really hard. And again, it's that hard and aggressive thing. As far as Manowar, I've already done some recording with them. You can hear their new song with me on it. It's on their new EP. If you go to Spotify, it's called Immortal. And that's me. It's brand new, and it's me playing guitars on everything. So
definitely check it out. I will be adding that to my metal playlist for sure.
It's great. It really is. And Manowar is very, their themes are really mythology and this about Ulysses and immortality, the gods, but it's really
themes and mythology.
Yes,
I love tie that into their work and get really creative with it.
Mm-hmm.
For Temptation, I don't know if you listen to them, but I love their work.
Yeah, there's so many great people and bands out. It's hard to hear everybody, but I'm always listening. I focus mostly with new music on bands that have guitar players that interest me, like pushing the envelope of guitar. But getting back to that Manowar song, it's called Immortal, and it's on their brand new EP released this year. So when people ask, are you going to record with them? The answer is yes, I already have, and you can already hear it. So.
Very cool. You work with Andy Zuckerman too.
Yes.
And you're actually in the Sawtooth studio right now.
Yes. Yeah. I can, depending on the connection, I can actually take my phone and walk around a little bit. But
this next question, actually, I was thinking about adding in. When you're in the Sawtooth studios with your band, how do you go about structuring your lead guitar with a full group while recording?
Well, one thing I can tell you, and you do a lot of live shows, so you could definitely, I think you would say yes to this, that it's so much different playing live than sitting in your room in front of a computer with the perfect software sound and you're sitting down doing a playthrough. When you get up on stage and crank an amp up and you have to play especially louder than a drummer, it adds a whole list of crazy stuff that you're not expecting in your bedroom. And so, or your rehearsal studio, the room that you record. What we do, first of all, I have 15 solo albums, so I've got a huge discography of music. And it's funny, Cait, because finally people are noticing what a composer I am. I mean, here I write this song called No Boundaries. It's played all over the planet. It's been done by almost all these different, keyboards, saxophones, flutes, and yet people say, oh, well, Michael can't write. And I'm like, well, Warner Brothers signed me twice. And I wrote every song in both bands. And now all of a sudden I'm being known for my compositions, which I've not changed anything anywhere over the years. What's that?
Way.
Yeah. And so what we do when we get together, I started playing live music. And so it's not very hard. And we don't use tracks at all. There's no backing tracks like a clinic. There's only a 3-piece band, 2 and 2 metal 4 minus metal 1. Our singer is our bass player. He sounds like Sting. from the Police for real. He's got a great voice. I have a good voice, not great. I do backgrounds. Our drummer is the owner of Sawtooth. What?
You sang at that clinic I was at.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I never said I'm a lead singer, but, you know, Bon Jovi had Richie Sambora. So that's kind of, you know, I'm the background guy. But we work on the songs and we listen. We kind of like go through the riff stage. We like listen to it, work on the parts, film it. And that's really how it's structured. And everybody's used to playing live. And my tone, because I get that clear sound, it's real thick, you know, and so one guitar can cover, because of the way my sound is and the higher action, it covers the whole band. It's really full. I don't need two guitar players.
Freaking sick. So you're just the main guitar dude. It's all you.
Gene Simmons said it best.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons told me, he goes, I had a rhythm guitar. She goes, Michael, what the hell do you need a rhythm guitar for? Guitarist for? He goes, you play two guitars, you know. And so I've always been better as a one guitar band. I love other guitar players, but I like playing. It's more freedom for me just with one guitar.
Yeah, you're just the guitar wizard.
I don't know about that, but I just like it, you know. Yeah, it's less structured, more I can riff out more.
For sure. So this also ties into the studio topic. As a teen, you and your friends turned your parents' basement into a studio space.
That's right.
This gave you a really early start in picking up various recording techniques. And when it comes to tracking guitar, what is something you learned almost immediately that still sticks with you today?
One thing I learned is that miking. Okay, you know, where to mic an amp, and I realized too that little nuances that you never hear live really are exposed in the studio. And see, even in Nitro, and those were analog recordings. You had to play live. You know, there was no copying and pasting. It wasn't possible. You know, they call it cut and paste, because in the old days, you literally had to cut the tape and paste it together with tape. I mean, you know, you had to tape it back. That's why, you know, the paste thing, but it's really cut and tape. So, and it was impossible. Like when you hear the Nitro solos, unless there was a complete break in the music, I couldn't stop. So every single solo was an unedited version from start to finish. Speed kills, no boundaries, my speed kills, all those in early instructional programs, there's no editing. You played from start to finish. It was impossible to edit like that. And, or if you did it, it was super hard and we didn't want to deal with it. We didn't have to. So the thing that I learned is that to practice the parts before you record, and to know how to mic an amp, when like you mic it off center from the cone. If the cone is here, if it's too close, it gets real nasally. And high end, you start moving it around and you find what they call the sweet spot. You find where it sounds real pleasing to the ear. So that's so it's two things. You learn to be more accurate in the studio, unless you want to be loose. But even people who play loose, like for example, Smashing Pumpkins, who I know well and played with last year, or like Nirvana, which I never met anybody, but even their strumming and Dave Grohl, there's a groove to it that's just powerful, you know, and because they captured in the studio what they did live, and that's the secret.
That is dope. Yeah, I am still really learning how to record by myself at home. So definitely you're going to use some Michael Angelo Batio technique.
Thanks. It's practice. Like when we were in Nitro, Jim.
And then playing live, because as you said, all the little nuances will really shine through if you don't have the right technique and equipment and all that good stuff.
That's right. You know, and, you know, people can auto-tune. They can do anything nowadays, which is cool. Yeah. But, you know, the other thing is, too, that, you know, do you want to do that? I mean, you know, great artists don't really have to do that. I mean, there are great songwriters. You know, a little auto-tune is great if you've done a great performance and there's a few notes out. Okay, I can see that. Yeah,
on, doesn't have to be crazy or anything.
Exactly, but you know, like what comes to mind is later Beatles to me. I never was into the Beatles when I was younger, and like I'm such a fan now because it took me a while for my brain to realize, because I was Mr. Metal, you know, growing up, and you know, it wasn't Black Sabbath, and then you know, a little later Judas Priest and all these bands, but you know, I heard like for example, Across Our Universe, and Leonard goes like, nothing's gonna change my world, nothing's gonna change my world, and he sings this beautiful melody, and there's a few spots where I said, man, I wish they would have just auto-tuned it like a few cents. But you know what? Did it diminish the greatness of the song? No,
No,
not in the
make it like
least.
raw and authentic, maybe.
Exactly, and that's the way.
Has a different ear and a different style too, which makes recording a really beautiful thing, and everybody has their own techniques.
That's right, and you know, the main thing is you get the feeling across to the people of what you want them to feel. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So
Right on. And speaking of feeling, instrumentally, guitar-wise, what made you really drawn to Manowar and bands like Nitro, which was your band?
So what made the fans, or what made me do that?
What made you drawn to the instrumental sound of bands?
Well, you know, with Manowar and Nitro, we have singers, you know, and so Jim Gillette could sing anything, and Eric, the singer from Manowar, is really amazing. He's fantastic, and he's the original singer from Manowar, and you know, from the old days. See, I always listened to instrumental when I was a boy, because when I grew up, bands like the Ventures, I was really into surf music, and there was actually a time in orchestral music when instrumental music was more popular than vocal. You know, that's why Mozart and Beethoven and Bach wrote so many instrumental pieces, because during that time, these centuries of music, instrumental music was extremely popular. And literally, I have to refer back to my music notes, but I'm pretty sure it was during Beethoven's time or close to that, because he was kind of the entrance into the Romantic era from classical. Instrumental music was more popular than vocal. I was just drawn to guitar playing. Like, I don't know, there's just something about the guitar, the clean guitar, the different sounds. But I also knew, hey, if I want to play in bands, people like singers, you know, and so I was always in vocal bands, but we always had cool instrumental sections, and I was always writing my own instrumental music, you know, so I kind of did both at the same time.
Sometimes you don't need vocals to get a really powerful feeling across, and I think that's what's great about instrumental music, and that's what a lot of your music does, like No Boundaries, and you know, you're up playing on a mountain and stuff like that. It's just, sometimes it's the choice of notes and the way that you play them. You don't always need words. So I think it's what's really cool about guitar music.
Well, one of the things that I do, I think that is much different from other guitar players that write instrumental music, is that, like, a lot of times these pieces are written almost as an exercise, you know, and I'm not taking that away, but you know, it's these really cool passages that you can tab out and notate, and okay, and now you can learn my song. See, I approach it differently. Like No Boundaries, I used to just, when I first wrote that and released it, and I had some critics saying, oh, all he does is play fast. I thought, what part of the melody cannot you hear? You know, can't you hear?
Melody in that song.
Yeah.
You don't have to play slow for a song to have feeling in it.
Yeah, and I wrote a song called Science Fiction. It was just, no, 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 no. It's this killer melody, but I always write song-like instrumental
did
songs.
Did we lose him?
Hello?
I got you. I'm back.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we have Wi-Fi here at the studio. I think it's pretty good. I'm not sure. It's cool. California, so it's been so hot, you know, blackouts, brownouts. But anyway, I like to write with melodies. When you hear my songs, there is a melody. Then I have the solo section where I completely riff out. But like, and they're not really made as much for these guitar exercises as just I'm trying to write a piece of music that people feel something. And when I play fast, I feel the need for speed. You know, it's like Top Gun, yes. You know,
Right.
I mean, that's how I feel when I play fast. I'm like, yes, yes.
You're playing music video. Please do that.
What's that?
You could be playing a double guitar in an airplane for your next video.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
Please.
I want to. Yeah, it'd be cool. Just, in fact, yeah, my quad looked like an X-wing fighter from Star Wars.
That would be amazing. That would
Cool.
definitely be an eye catcher for
Yes,
sure.
cool.
We are approaching our last question. You have always done things that stand out. For example, your Starlicks Master Series, and that was the first shred instructional video to ever be released, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your guitar teaching journey and how that's affected your own playing in positive ways.
Well, I was voted one of the number 3 and like one of the most, and again, I never vote myself, you know, I don't self-proclaim this, but is one of the ones that influenced the guitar as we know it, which is a pretty big honor. See, my lessons were based off classical music. I took classical piano. I studied classical theory. And see, nowadays it's kind of like a hybrid. Everything's a hybrid. You know, there's hybrid scales. They mesh all these different styles together, which is totally cool. I didn't learn like that. I learned, you know, the different parts of music, you know, Bach's era, Mozart's era, Beethoven's era, Shostakovich, all these other, they were in different eras. So they had different things that were important to them. But here's what was the same. No matter what style of music you play, the techniques to learn, the piano books have been similar for over 100 years. So what I did, there's 3 main ones that I study, and they all had one thing in common: short exercise that focused on a technique. And so when you see my Starlicks video, that one was focused on also showing off a little bit, because the company wanted me. I was this young up-and-coming guitarist that could play faster than pretty much anybody back then. And that's what they're telling me. And they really wanted me to kind of show off. But I showed things on that. My technique was very precise. The things I showed, like the A minor sweep arpeggio for the very first time. I didn't say I invented it, but also I invented this over-under thing, and I invented the double. And I can truly say that you're not going to find a video before me where a guy does this. You can find this, and you can find this, and then maybe they'll move their hand over, but you're not going to find this. I know. And so I showed all these things, and it was, you know, here, believe it or not, they had Jimi Hendrix in an instructional video. They pieced together footage, Steve Lukather. They had all these fantastic guitar players. Tony Iommi did an instructional video on the same company. I had their #1 bestseller because nobody had seen at that time somebody playing in your face like that without a band, just going it was crazy. And it was so fast and back then and accurate. And that's what they wanted, and that's what I gave them. But with Speed Kills, I'd already done one video, the Starlicks, the first shred video. And some people say, yeah, Vinnie Moore did one. Vinnie and I are really close friends, and he's amazing. Right. But it wasn't a shred style like mine. I showed these techniques for the first time. It was different. You know, I didn't focus on songs. See, that's the thing I learned. I separated the technique from the music, because a good musician will find a way to play music. It's that simple. If you're musically inclined, the technique helped you to play more difficult things. The technique was going to help you, but I didn't mix them together. I said these techniques. So anyway, it was something that people didn't think of back then, but they thought about in orchestral music for centuries. I just took the thought of what people did before me. And with Speed Kills, I nailed it. I totally nailed it. Short exercises, very focused. I even wrote a song called No Boundaries to show the techniques. Johann Sebastian Bach did that. He used to write, that's where he wrote pieces of music to show different techniques. So I took the ideas all from orchestral music, Bach, you name it, you know, Hanon, Cerny, a lot of people. And they're important.
That's so cool to hear that you started on a lot of classical music. And often when I play, I feel like it's just because my hands look like weird spiders. They think that I started on classical for some reason, but maybe it's just because they look like this.
Yeah, but you know what? Also, they look like that. You know what you're doing. You know, it's like when you play. Like, see, when I play, you know, especially when I was younger, I had these super thin, skinny. I used to actually like to watch my fingers when I play. I'm like, these guys are moving. I used to think of myself as like this little spider moving. And you know, now that I'm older, I'm still thin, but my fingers don't look the same, but they play the same. And the thing that I make sure my technique is still really. It's about the technique, about how you look when you're hitting the strings is important, because if you look right, chances are you're playing right. And so, you know, I think that's one of the things, and that's one of the little nuances, like from your earlier question. That's one of the things I watch when I start to. I actually refer to my own older videos to make sure my hand position is still like it was. And because it really helps. What's that?
I just said that's discipline right there.
Try, you know. Don't always do it, but you try. That's the goal, you know, to be disciplined. Yeah.
Right on. Sometimes you got to put discipline over motivation. Those who with it are the ones that succeed. And I think you're the perfect example of that, but you've always been like so immensely talented.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and and I hope I'm an example for people that are playing guitar that say, you know, when I get older too, I don't have to lose my skill. See, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing just to play it. And like you said, I'm playing a lot more acoustic guitar. I'm playing I've toured. I'm playing in a really big band that you play music that's real. But it's so that if somebody's 20 years old, and they can look at me and they can say, man, he still rips, you know. So that means it's like I can do that too. And so you don't have to worry so much about, oh my God, when I'm older, I'm going to lose my voice, or when I'm older, I'm going to do this, because I'm an example that that's not true. So that's the point.
Also only expanded your portfolio as you've gotten older too, as you said, like the acoustic music. And you don't put yourself in a box. You kind of do it all. And I think that's also why a lot of people idolize you, because you're skilled in various genres rather than just, but you're a guy for sure. And we know that, but you're just, you know, you're very versatile, I guess is a good.
Thanks. And, you know, and the final thing, one of the main differences when I came up in music versus today, you had to have, I came up with the phrase stylistic continuity. If you ever listen to a Judas Priest record from start to finish, it sounds like Judas Priest. If you ever listen, these bands had to have more continuity. And they would, like, say if you wrote 20 songs for an album and you're on Warner Brothers, and like I was, and the producer, Tom Werman, is one of the biggest, you know, Every Rose Has Its Thorn. You know, I worked with him and we released an album on Atlantic. He would not allow certain songs on our album because they didn't stylistically match the other songs. And so I couldn't show what I could do, because it wasn't, when I was young, that wasn't the way you made it. You know, even Mark Tremonti said with Creed, you know, he couldn't play solos. You know, and he really got aggravated at it. Because the style of nu metal, Godsmack, Creed, all these bands, he didn't play solos. So that's but see, now it's cool to do whatever you want to do. And then I'm able to do it. So it's just a sign of the times.
And we love it. I did say I have a surprise for you.
Yes.
You know, I play a lot of shows. I can be a bit of an airhead sometimes. I'm a bit forgetful. And I forgot my acoustic. So I stopped at this music shop called Volcano Music, I believe. And they had this beautiful Sawtooth. Look who signed the back.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we have a huge Michael Angelo Batio collection. And I was like, oh, yo, I'm interviewing him on Monday, actually. I was like, I'll be sure to shout you guys out and
cool.
show the Sawtooth. So, yeah, I love that.
That's great.
Much.
Yeah. Well, you know, with Sawtooth, one of the reasons that I love them so much is that they want to they make guitars that are really cost effective, and
Mhm.
they're really good. They are really great. And I mean, and they're great people. In fact, we're playing a show in LA, if you don't mind me saying it, with a
Oh.
Sawtooth type band. It's called MAB, like for my initials, but we're playing Saturday. It's like a tune-up show. It's the first show that we've ever played, but it's a cool place. It's like a hangout for a lot of rockers in the Valley. It's a weird name, but it's called the Universal Bar and Grill. But it's a place where you see a lot of like known musicians will come in and play, and it's close to a lot of people. So we're playing there Saturday night. But they are a fantastic company, and truly for the price point, it's hard to beat the guitars. Cool. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Like one of the first guitars I've gotten where the setup is really nice, pretty nice right when I take it, Usually I gotta get it all set up before I even play it live, but this was really nice. I soloed on it that night.
Yeah. They make, they have great setup people here. They're musicians, but they care. But the thing that separates Sawtooth, and I just have to say it, they're better business people at manufacturing, because a lot of times you can get a shipment of guitars and every guitar is slightly different, or when you get things manufactured, you have to be on them. There's called tolerances. It's kind of like the way I look at guitar. You can't tolerate something if it goes outside the technique. Same with Sawtooth. If the tolerance isn't right, they don't accept it. So every guitar comes in. Now, granted, there's an example here or there, but it's weird to get a prototype of a guitar and have the production model be way better, because you work a lot of times with companies. It's the opposite. They give you the prototype, so you think, wow, man, this guitar rules. It's going to sell like crazy. Then you get the shipment in for the people, and it sucks. It's like necks are like Louisville Sluggers. You can use it for batting practice. It's the exact opposite with us. We just know how to manufacture, put the best parts on, and make it right. So that's it.
Nice. I am a huge Sawtooth fan.
Cool. I'll tell the owner about that. So.
Yeah, they follow my Instagram and show support, which is really nice.
Great, thanks.
I feel like that might be played more than my SG in these coming months.
I like SGs too. I don't have just
dive, but the neck dive. Can we just talk about? It dips. She dips, but she's pretty. She plays well. It fits my hand. A lot of people with bigger hands don't like the SGs because they're like toy guitars, is how I've heard them be described. But I like the thinner.
Yeah, it's got a good sound. I actually don't have an SG in my collection. So now you've made me start thinking about it.
Aaron from Intervals had one. He actually had like a red cherry SG. That was his first guitar.
Cool. Is it an old one, like a vintage one?
Yeah, I think so. I'll show this one real quick, but don't mind the strings. They're broken. But yeah, I put like little
little Cait stuff. Cool.
It's right. It really is. Talker. It's like we're both Geminis, actually, I think.
That's right. Yeah. I think this is the ultimate sign of the twins here.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Would you mind taking maybe like 4-ish questions from the audience?
Sure. I'm here. So yeah, let's do it.
Cool. But yeah, if you guys are watching, my name is Cait. If you're watching from Michael's account, I started this series called Communicait, where I interview various musicians and creators and influencers of all kinds. So yeah, I'm gonna open it up to you guys. Yeah, if any questions come up, feel free to answer them, Michael.
Okay, cool. I'm looking.
Feel free to answer.
Did you have some that people have asked while we were doing the interview, or? Okay, I can't really see. I'm not seeing this. So if you see it, just,
One says, what advice would you give to your younger self from Matthew.GTR?
I would say, okay, there was one thing that happened to me in my life that is really shocking. And I would say to do it. And if you have a minute or so, I can explain this.
Absolutely.
Okay, when I was younger, when I did the first instructional video, The company that owned that company founded the International House of Pancakes. They were super wealthy, and they actually were so blown. And I'm telling you that this is the real story. It's not me trying to say how wonderful I am. They were so blown away by my guitar playing and the fact that that video made such an impact. It was their #1 seller for 2 years. They had the producer of the original Buddy Holly movie that won that won awards. They did a market study on me, and they said that I can be huge. And they loved the band that I was in. Okay, I had the Michael Angelo band. We were all young. You know, I had a 21-year-old singer. You know, all the band was in their early 20s. I was a little older. They offered me a contract for everything that I'm saying is exactly. They said that if I sign with them, I can keep my band. They guarantee that there will be a major label deal, a minimum of 125,000 record budget, which was about standard at the time. They gave me an apartment, they gave me a car, and they gave me a salary for 6 months or until they got the major deal. And they were going to put me together with the best songwriting people they could. I had it made. My father, who I love dearly, in fact, he'll be gone 20 years tomorrow, told me, son, don't do it. I was like, what? He goes, son, don't do it. He hated the music industry. And I love my father. My father was everything to me. And I go, Dad, I had my dad fly out to California to meet with them. He told me, he goes, don't do it. He rewrote the contract and it wasn't done professionally. I just said, and they tried for a year to get me. And I said, no, I didn't do it. And finally they said, enough. I never did. I would love to go to a parallel universe where I signed it, because I would have been probably one of the biggest instrumental guitar stars on the planet, because I had the best of everything. They had the money, they had the production team, they did a market study of me. But here's the upside. And Jim Gillette from Nitro, who is a great friend, fantastic person, he's like a brother. He said, you never know, Mike. He said, if you would have signed that, maybe something would have happened. Maybe, you know, it was and, you know, I ended up getting signed to Nitro. We got signed to a major label. I'm touring with a mega band in 2 months. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but to have that kind of an offer and say no to it, I actually didn't go home for Christmas one year because I was so mad at my dad. And I said, I should have done that. And he said, well, you didn't have to listen to me. I was like, ah! You know, I mean, he begged me not to sign it. And then he said, well, you didn't have to listen to me, like so cavalier and nonchalant. I flipped out. But I realized he was right. I don't hold it. I didn't have to listen to him. But to get that kind of an offer with legitimate people, with the top people in the industry, and where, you know, salary, car, they loved my band. And I said no. I just always wonder till this day, do I regret it? I can't regret it because I've had a fantastic life so far. But I wish I could have seen it. So that was my advice. Take the deal to my younger self. If I could write a letter to me like Brad Paisley, I would say, take the deal. Take it. Don't listen to your dad.
That was deep. That was really deep. You never know, though. You never know. Maybe that was the world telling you that it, you know.
You're exactly right.
I guess. And now you are a huge star. You know, you're huge in the guitar community, and so many people look up to you.
Oh, thanks. That's what I mean. It all worked out great. And that's what Jim said. It was destiny. You didn't sign it. So.
Exactly. Let's see. Somebody asked, Brian21_909 asked, is playing slower really the key to playing faster? I'm currently learning No Boundaries. So you have a fan in the comments learning some music.
No, I think that how I look at the guitar is technique is only a means to the end, and the end is to be able to play what you hear in your head.
Right.
When you learn the exercises on speed kills and you play with aggression and authority, when a lot of people can't play slow very good because they lack the tone, they lack the intonation, they lack the expression. Like when I start, if you're out of tune, or if it's just not going to sound right. And so it's not about playing slow to play fast, but I think if you want to play fast, it's much easier than to play slower than it is the other way around. And so I just showed the techniques. I got to play really fast, but I practiced my vibrato. I practiced playing melodies because I write melodies. And that's how, and instrumental music that I used to listen to as a kid, they did instrumental versions of vocal songs. So that's how I learned to play. I played melodies of songs, but I would much prefer to work on the technique first and get better. And you can always slow it down, but you can't always speed it up.
That's good advice. That is good advice. I found this tab, actually. It looks like we have a lot. There was a questions tab open. So I guess I'll take two.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any, so you have to tell me.
Let's see. Just trying to find one that we haven't really gone over.
Why are you wearing sunglasses?
He's like, they look red. I wear my sunglasses at night.
These are prescription.
So I want sunglasses.
Yeah, these are prescription. I could wear my contacts, but there's so many lights, it gets a little, so I wear the glasses. So, but these like shade everything. It's cool. But I don't always wear them, but it was nice in this room to wear them.
Yes. _, Ace Row. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. Michael, what guitar will you use with Manowar? Sorry if we already went over this. I believe you might use your double. I could be wrong.
We haven't discussed that, because Manowar doesn't have double guitar music in it. But I can say, I'm signed to Sawtooth, so when you get into a band that big, it's very specific. Okay, so Manowar, they're playing 10,000 seats, 20,000, 30,000 seat venues, and they've sold tens of millions of albums. So Joey DeMaio is a great bass player, but he's a great businessman. So they didn't care that I play Sawtooth. All right, it's not, I'm not going to promote it. So, but I'm playing black guitars, all black. So that's what I can say. I haven't actually figured out which black guitars yet, but whatever I play, it's black, the color of metal. So that's what I can say.
Love that. We will take one more from me, Hal Malinchev.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite solo? This is probably a hard question, but at least a few of your favorite solos.
Okay, you're gonna laugh when I say this. One of the solos that I really loved, I loved Johnny Winter when I was growing up, and he had this blues thing called "It's Your Own Fault," and I learned a lot of them. So I learned verbatim his blues riffs, and I do that to people sometimes where, like, for example, in my double guitar solo, I will add music. This is a jazz technique. Like around Christmas time, they'll start playing Christmas type theme music or something right in the middle of a solo. I do that with solos all the time. So to catch people who aren't listening. Because like my double, I play the Allman Brothers, I play Hendrix, I play Led Zeppelin. And when people go, there's no music at all, I think they didn't listen. They're just internet trolls. So Johnny Winter, believe it or not, it's Aerosmith, Train Kept A-Rollin'. That first solo is awesome. I used to think Joe Perry was the most amazing guitarist in the world, and then I find out he didn't play it. All right, so you hear the first one of Train Kept A-Rollin'. It's an amazing solo. I also like some, some of my favorite solos were like for example, Jimi Hendrix, when he played Machine Gun, he made his guitar talk. And I know people who knew Hendrix. So I've talked to some musicians. I actually jammed with Noel Redding, Jimi Hendrix's bass player, and played Purple Haze with the guy who played Purple Haze. And, but you get later on in the years, there aren't so many specific solos to me as moments. Like I loved Al Di Meola, like certain riffs to his songs. I would just pick out a part. A Charlie Christian, Django Reinhardt. These are people that I stole solos from everybody. But Keith Emerson, the keyboard player, There was a song called Tarkus, and he went do 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 do. It's all in fourths, do 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 do. And so he used fourths and thirds in such a cool way. I stole it and I put it on one of my songs. And I put it on my version of Burn, and people who are really keen to that, they go, wow, that's that Keith Emerson riff. So it's not so much solos, it's riffs that I like, and I steal those riffs. So that's what I do.
Nice. Gotta take inspiration from everything. That's kind of how you build your repertoire. Repertoire?
I think, yeah, repertoire. I think it was David Bowie. Somebody said, good artists, they said good artists borrow, great artists steal. If you're going to take something, take it from the best and make it your own,
Fact. Right on. So I believe that will conclude our chat. But that was really fun, dude.
Great. Well, thank you, Cait. I mean, one thing that I've always admired about you, you're just out there relentless, and you keep doing it and doing it. That's what it takes. I mean, that's just what it takes. That's why we're here today. And, you came to one of my clinics. I mean, so you saw how I do things, and clinics are only one part of what I do, but I loved it. I really love to just talk about the career and talk about things. And but congratulations. So I'm glad to be the first one here. No real glitches, nothing. It all worked out cool.
Yeah, it worked out great. And we have our great setups. I see somebody commented on my Mona Lisa over there.
Yes.
Okay, it's on brand. We got the lights.
Yes, yeah, you have the background decor.
Yeah, when you have more stuff going on, feel free to jump back on and answer some more fan questions. But yeah, I always love chatting with you. It's always a good time.
Sounds good.
Your support. You're the best.
Thank you. See you later.
You're the best. See you guys later.
Bye.